And and hey, it's Evan Kirstel here on Friday. We are live with the one and only JT Fox. I'm thrilled to have JT here. How are you, JT?
Fantastic. Thank you. Big fan of your channel. Maybe it's all that tagging of yours. I wake up
well,
and Twitter never used to blew up until you started tagging me. So I appreciate it. I wake up and I'm
well,
like, oh, that's awesome.
I have a little bit of credo on Twitter, but you, however, have a little bit more in the quote unquote offline world, where I was at one of your recent events with 1,000 of your fans, followers, and clients. Set the scene here for us. You are many things: an entrepreneur, a coach, a business leader, an investor. Uh, but how do you describe yourself to folks who are watching you for the first time?
First of all, I'm a global entrepreneur. I mean, we do business in 54 countries. We have clients in 104. And I started in real estate. That's how I first made my money, and then from then on, it just kind of spiraled to buying businesses, taking over businesses, partnering with businesses, getting involved in the industry, starting it from scratch, and now we have literally businesses like you name it, I have it, and then obviously got into the crypto mining world, and which I tend not to like to talk about a lot because there's so many scams out there. No, I'm saying so many scams where people take my name and try to sell people, and I don't sell. So it's so many scams out there. And then obviously now with a lot of on the in the tech world and many companies and obviously now got an app it's about to launch that's part Instagram, part WhatsApp, and so it's just kind of diversified. You start with one thing, and then like you built a massive following, and people send you deals, opportunities, and you get exposed to things that you never would. So the importance of building a brand, just like you did. I mean, you did such a great job that we invited you to our conference to speak in front of these billionaires and millionaires and people from all over the world because you are a tech influencer. And what I like about you is there's a good sense of positivity. It's just like sometimes Twitter can be very negative. I think people will agree to that. And so you bring positivity um, and there's one thing between like criticizing, there's another thing between bullying or just attacking or, trolling. And also too, I think what's really cool about what you do is it's kind of glimpse of the future of what's coming. So it makes it an interesting place to go. And you sort of made me go back to Twitter because I have, 25,000 followers or whatever it is, 23 or 24, whatever it is, but I never used it. And so you made me go back there. And I actually enjoy. You're probably one of the few feeds that I go that I look for and look for stuff because it's where the future is. So I appreciate that. You and Ronald,
Well,
another
I
one that
appreciate what you do, and I must say, your event, which by the way is called Mega Success, was really the highlight of my year last year, in an otherwise very down year of not traveling, not seeing people. And wow, what a joy to see 1,000 excited people, vaccinated and fully protected, but in one place. And I'm going to have some great memories. But you didn't start off as an 8-figure entrepreneur. Your
no, no.
journey as what really inspires so many people. So tell us, you came over to Canada really from Canada with frankly nothing, and you built yourself into this person you are. Tell us about that journey, if you
Well,
will.
we start unknown and we finish unforgettable, right? That's kind of the idea. And like a lot of people, I started with no money, had a speech impediment. Your whole life, people say you're never going to make it. Came to the United States with nothing, $974, went down to negative 34,000. Try to do what some of those get rich quick. In real estate, you can do it too. And ideally, it didn't work like they said it would. But if it wasn't for them, I never would have got into it. So everybody wants to hit on the self education, and there's a lot of people who haven't done anything that are teaching it, or they do it once or twice. But in this case, I never would have known about real estate. I never would have known about that, and so it was very generic. But if you have work ethic, effort, attitude, persistence, and you have all those things, then you know, I was 1 month away from having to move there, and I made my first deal, my second deal, and then I ended up doing 500 deals without using any of my own money, even though I had money, because my logic was this: is no matter how good what you are, you're always going to run out of money. And so the question would be, would you rather do 10 deals with your own money or 500, make 50% and use none of your own money? And that was my thought process when I started. And it's interesting because people say, did you always know that? Like, I didn't know. It just seemed like common sense. But there's so many people have greed, like keep everything to themselves and keep the content to yourself. And I think collaboration is the new economy of sharing. And I got a great deal. I got a great individual. Let's connect rather than me, 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 me. And we live in a new world now. And I think if people are not on this, they have a hard time scaling.
And scaling and success, as you've taught so many of your students, is not a science. There's not a textbook. It isn't motivational speaking that you do, although it is very fun and motivational. It's kind of an art, and you are really controversial for that because you call out folks who aren't doing the right thing to set them
Well, I don't like
up
the
for
fugazis. I
success.
mean, I don't like people say there's a secret to success. There is no secret to success. I like people to say my system. There is no system, right? If there was a system, Wall Street would be doing. If your trading system was so great, and so people want success in a box, and there isn't, right? You can tell me right now everything there is to do on how to become a tech influencer and how to have 400,000 Twitter followers. I could do exactly what you're telling me to do, and it might not work that same way. Right. So right now, one of the top Instagram influencers told me what to do. And I'm putting some great content. My first video I put up, 1 million views, like 1 million views.
Holy
Then
cow.
my second one, 53. And now it's like 300, 400. Right. And so he said to me, JT, it's not. And by the way, the fact that I have 1 million views didn't translate to 1 million followers or 1 million likes. Right. So business is a lot like farming. What we do is we're planting seeds, right? We got to work hard. We got to plow the fields. We got to keep going because, there's a season coming, right? And we got to make sure. And then we got to water, nurture them, fertilizer. And then we got to, then they develop, but not everyone develops. And then once they develop, I got to cultivate it. Then I got to go out there and sell it. And then I got to redo it. And that's why, there's two things that define success. Number one, skills, right? You want to turn your weakness into your strengths. And if you're great at sales, you need to be greater. If you're not good at sales, you need to get good at sales because that's what's holding you back. And then you have the willpower, like the will to do this. Like I get 1,000 offers, to speak or to be on interviews like that. And I always say no, and because you came to my conference, you spoke there, I know who you are. And, you've been liking my posts, including me. I mean, would you have been mad if I didn't do it? Probably not. But at the end of the day, I think relationships are reciprocal. So if you have skills and willpower, and you have persistence and a great attitude and you have loyalty, then, and the work ethic too. Work ethic eliminates fear. I think a lot of people become a lot easy, and there's nothing that's easy. Like, I don't care what it is. Nothing is easy.
And I love you talk about the return on relationships and how important relationships have been for you and your business partners and your clients. It's really something you focus on, and it's not about chasing money. You're a wealthy guy. You're an eight-figure entrepreneur,
Actually, a
but
little higher, a little higher. That's not 8-figure was a while back. So I think we've gone up here. Let's
okay.
not
Well, you
downgrade
don't
my thing.
disclose it, but
Not
you
a
don't talk.
billionaire.
Whatever your wealth is, and it's a little mysterious. None of us know exactly your number, but you don't talk about your wealth. You don't show flashy
No.
helicopters, cars. You're not out there, on the MTV Cribs. And why is that? Why don't you flash all this amazing, money you've made over the years?
Well, first of all, it's not how I was taught. If you really think about it, the fundamentals of wealth is you learn. It's the idea of the millionaire next door, right? And when you have a guy like Warren Buffett, who at the time when I first started was worth about 60 billion, now it's 100 billion. Just goes to show how 10 years things change. And you have a guy like Warren Buffett who lives in the same house, who drives the same car, who goes to McDonald's, right? And so who am I to flash what I have? And then I take a look at Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. They have all the toys, and Elon Musk brags about living into a little cubbyhole in Texas where the launch is, where he's probably living at his friend's house that's worth 20 million, or he sells all his possessions. And I think this idea of planes and jets and to attract people, they go like this, right? Look at my flick my money. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's lifestyle marketing. I believe in the sweeping effect, right? And I believe that it sets a really wrong message for the youth and people just in general of this idea that success is defined by how much money you make, right? It's the concept that one of my coaches, who's now my business partner, who's a billionaire, talked with Rich with Relevance. When's the last time you did something for someone without them knowing like who you are? We live in a society that, look, I just gave money to a charity. Hold on. You know what I mean? Like because people are looking for validation, and people will say, well, that's how you get attention, but you get the wrong people. Like I have billionaires that come to my events. I'm partners with many billionaires. So I can't be bragging about things when there's a lot more people who have more than me. And I also think people think that that's what wealth is. Wealth is not how much you have. Wealth is ultimately how much you're going to give away. And so, yeah, I mean, could I show my house? Yeah. I mean, it would take me 8 minutes to go from one end of the house to the other, right? I could show all my watches. I have all the Louis Vuitton and Louis Vuitton shoes and stuff like that. But I got all that for free. So it doesn't, because I'm a good negotiator, I'm a good deal maker, includes it. Like I'm not defined by the stuff that I own. I'm defined by the lives that I change, or the deals that I do, or the people that I do it with as well. But it's frustrating. You know, it's a debate. Like example, the idea of buying Instagram likes. There are so many people or followers that I know that idolize. They're a bunch of fugazis. Okay. I could tell, I click on your profile, you don't have an audience in Thailand or Kyrgyzstan or Kazakhstan or India. I've actually been to those places, right? So in fact, I got people in India, right? So I have clients in India, in Bangladesh, and clients in Bangalore. And so I've got clients all over there. So, you know, and then you have people, but then it becomes not just buying the followers, you need to buy the likes. And so here you are, I'm trying to do something ethically, and I got, you know, almost 70,000 followers on Instagram, but they're real. The engagement is high. It's real. And I'm competing against people who buy millions. And it's become acceptable to society that that's okay. But it is credibility. Someone reaches you with a couple million followers. They're like, whoa, this person must be someone. So the premise is based on the fugazi, the fakeness of this all. And so I'm trying to do the right thing. By the way, I'm the bad guy, by the way. Right. But I do it the right way.
Speaking of being the bad guy, you had 150,000 plus followers on Clubhouse. 160,000. That's where I became acquainted with you and sort of really listened, absorbed all this free, amazing content night after night. And they decided, based on what, to ban you from the platform. Well, I mean, I was just shocked.
I'll put this back in context for everybody. Clubhouse, ingenious, sounds like a very simple idea, but you have to give Paul and Rohan, the founders of the app. And I'm a big fan of Andreessen Horowitz. It's a funny thing. It's like I love what they did. They created something, and it's something so simple. I mean, anybody will tell you who does coding, it's so simple to duplicate. They did it, and it came at the right time where we're all locked down. And especially when I got on it in January 2021, it was, I mean, everyone, competition was there. All the big names are there. So I remember being in a room with Tyrese and Paris Hilton and blah, blah, blah. But it was very new, very toxic, very dramatic, but it was fun. I mean, it was, you know, I mean, listen, I'd go to bed at 8:30. Next thing I'm going to bed at 3:00 in the morning. Right. And, but I met amazing people like John Ledger, former CEO of T-Mobile, and built so many great relationships. I mean, I just went to a Dubai wedding of the Housewives of Dubai for people that I met on that app, and then became friends, invited me to, and then that led me to meet more billionaires there and successful people. So the people that I met was amazing. And the problem is my style. I'm a very no BS. Like if I think you're BS, I'm going to call you out. Right. Or like, I have 300% return. Great. Tell me when, where, how, what. Right. Or, you know, I help people build 8 and 9-figure funnels. Great. Who, what? Do you have an 8-figure funnels? How much do you make? Well, I just started. So there's this exaggeration, just like people will pay to be on a Forbes article, which I have no problem with online. I have no problem if you want to pay. But then you make a fake cover and you congratulate yourself on the fact that you paid to be on Forbes, or you pay for the Forbes Leadership Council. I just want to say, what an honor. What an honor that I've been nominated, right? And somehow they paid the $5,000. And there's nothing wrong with that, but just don't congratulate yourself like you got selected and it's this big thing. That's kind of the art of the fugazi. So, and then what happened, all of a sudden, you know, I got shadow banned for no reason, right? And the idea of shadow ban is only those who follow me can see me, which was highly unfair because I had the biggest rooms, I had the biggest momentum, and clearly you may not like me, but I attract big crowds because I'm no BS and I know how to put a show on.
And it
right?
was
And so,
information and
right.
entertainment, infotainment. It
Correct.
was really great, really.
It's edutainment, right? And it's not like I'm not a racist. I'm not saying derogatory things.
You're
I'm
not
just
an
no. What?
anti-vaxxer.
You
I
tell
mean,
me you're a
I
millionaire. I'm going to call you out. I'm going to ask you a question. You tell me this, and that calling out the fugaziness of people made it very entertaining. So of course it gets political, very quickly. And so all it is, I try to send the founders an email, and I try to I send customer support, and then it wouldn't go anywhere. And then I sent, because they were growing pains, which I get. And then all of a sudden I sent an email and they're like, well, delete your app and reinstall it. It might be a glitch. I'm like, no, I tried that. And then they wouldn't do anything. So we had no other choice than to file a lawsuit, which through the terms of service is through arbitration, which that took 8 months, which we're currently in there. And all I wanted to do is to say, listen, give me a reason. Like, what terms of service did I violate? That would shatter. There's no explanation. And it's not fair. Because on one hand, I hear people being racist, attacking women, saying
anti-vaxxers,
right? Anti-vaxxers, about it's a flu, it's a bug, it's a government inoculation. Whether people believe it or not, they're not getting canceled. So we're currently in, and the problem is that, and then I go on there the other day and I talk about how my coach, who's 94 years old, who's like a father figure to me, right? And who a lot of my clients know, and earlier had talked about how he had COVID. He's 94. And his wife was in the hospital for 2 days. And they're home at fine. He had no symptoms. So, and he goes, thank God I'm triple vax. I tell that story, boom, I got cut off for doxing and revealing private information.
Oh,
I mean,
my
come
God.
on. Just for saying that. Like, so basically, the day before, 1.3 million people have COVID. I tell someone does not have any symptoms of COVID, and that's doxing. So clearly it was a hit job. There's no question about that, because maybe they're upset, or the lawsuit, who knows what the excuse is. And that's the problem. And I think the biggest problem is Section 230, right? So we could do whatever we want. Is take a social media, right? We go in there, I bring my audience, and I've got a very big audience, and a lot of people have been messaging Klaus, saying, hey, this is outrageous. This is not fair, because it is not fair. You might not like my style, but these rooms, obviously people want to, because they keep getting bigger and bigger, or people keep seeing me. So it's like, I don't like Democrats, or I don't like Republicans. I don't like Donald Trump. But there are people that may like, right? Now, some will argue Trump got banned because he violated their terms of service of inciting violence. Okay, whatever. I didn't do anything wrong to violate the terms of service. So just like that, I bring people, and ultimately you have $1 billion valuation because of people like me who are content creators, who bring followers, who are building a business. And just like that, you could stop it. You could do whatever you want. And I'm not responsible for anything, anything that I do. I'm not responsible for anything that happens on my platform, because I'm protected by Section 230. Where in other countries, if someone calls you a fraud or stuff like that, there are consequences to that as well. But in the United States, they're using an archaic law that probably had nothing to do with the media. And because our governments can't agree to anything, it actually hurts the people. It silences opinions. And by the way, even like you agree with the vax or don't agree with the vax, who cares? But there are countless rooms saying the most ridiculous thing. And for me, I got like in mid-sentence. So clearly, I think it's obvious to everyone. And I never did anything all. And by the way, it could have easily been resolved as, hey, here's our problem. Don't do this or do this. But ignore. Like, we are too cool for anyone to do that. But despite that, I still think they're great. I still think they put a great platform. I mean, my lawyers now have taken to add this thing to whatever we're working on. And I don't want to. If they called today and said, you know what, we are going to reinstate you. You didn't do anything wrong. We're sorry. You bring people in. We may not like you, or we may not agree with what you say or your style, right? But I've never violated any terms of service. And they said, you know what, we'll put you back on. I'd be like, you know what, I forgive you. Because I let people in my rooms on Clubhouse that I did not like. Okay. People had said things about me in other rooms that were like defamatory. And I always let that, because I don't believe in censoring other people unless it crosses the line of racism. Now, ironically, I do this, and apparently I wasn't there because I got all the messages, right? There was a room that attacking a friend of mine who was doing rooms about her being a racist and them attacking. Nothing got happened there, right? But hold on. My coach recovered from vax. So I got deleted. And by the way, that's not fair. You may not like Howard Stern. You may not like Howard Stern. You may not like Joe Rogan. You may like Joe Rogan. But the minute we start censoring people, and by the way, there's a difference with misinformation, obviously, right? But I didn't do anything about that. And the problem is that we are making these social media companies a tremendous amount of money. And at the end of the day, we're not rewarded, we're penalized. And I think that's, to me, like, I could go away, it could be the situation, but I'm not the guy who backs down because I don't think it's fair. And whatever happens, happens. And I'm sure they don't like me. I'm positive they don't like me. Never once they reached out to me and say, hey, thank you very much. You have rooms of 4,000, 5,000, 6,000. I brought celebrities on that app. Never say thank you. How can we work with you? That was never a thing. And by the way, there are over 20 million plus people that are signed up on the app. The usage, I don't know. I ranked 241 and I've been shadow banned since March. That tells you the influence I have on that app, that I'm still 241. Could you imagine if I wasn't shadow banned? Right?
It's unbelievable. So in the meantime, you're continuing this journey of helping people be successful like yourself. You know, you're on a tear. Your event, which was one of the only in-person events I've been to since the pandemic, was phenomenal. And you know, what does 2022 hold for you? What's your mindset going into this year
Unknown.
with
Unknown for everybody. There's no certainty. I think this idea of like, who would have known NFTs would have blown up? Who would have known that crypto would have gone up to what it did and gone down? We don't know. We constantly live the unknown. I mean, if you had told me I want to start off the year by Clubhouse like banning me for no reason, I would have said, I don't know. So I think the lesson I've learned is that you can't just put all your trust in one platform as a content creator, as an entrepreneur. All right. I am going to check out Twitter Space. I'm excited to see. I will check out LinkedIn Audio. I'll check out Facebook Audio. And so I'm going to do different. I'm going to do more lives and probably do more interviews like this that I wouldn't have done before because I'm so busy. But we're constantly reinventing ourselves. But the difference is, without Clubhouse, I never would have met you. So I'm thankful for that. And by the way, despite what they're doing to me, which I think is completely unfair, I'm thankful for the founders and I'm thankful for the app.
And tell us more about the founders. You know, if you're a investor, high net worth individual, what is the founders, and explain how folks can get involved.
Well, the idea of the founders is this. It's not just high net worth people. I mean, we have billionaires, we have 9 figures, 8 figures, 7 figures, 6 figures. So the idea is this. Everyone brings something to the table. And if we all can get into a room and rather than canceling each other or attacking each other, what if everybody shares? Who are my contact? Who's my expertise? Hey, I know this person that has a deal, or I have a deal. Let me share. And we not only collaborate in sharing deals, opportunities, relationships, we're getting exposed to deals and companies I never in 1,000 years would have ever been exposed to. It's been the greatest business move I ever made. The companies that I'm involved now because of this is remarkable. The people that I met is remarkable. And I'm in businesses I never thought for 1,000 years because I also learned. We got involved into a drone company that delivers, it's going to deliver Amazon packages. I never thought I'd be remotely knowing about this or getting involved with it, but someone had an inside. The app that is going to be launched came because of something like that. I never would have known. And I think we're so stuck in our own kind of bubble sometimes that it's not what you know, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. So I invite everybody to go to jtfox2xfounders.com and come watch for free. Come watch real deals. Not there to sell you courses. We're just there to collaborate because your network equals your net worth. Who you spend time with is who you become, and where you learn is where you earn. And there's been so many people that I even have learned from. And I've shared a result, a lot of my billionaire partners, a lot of other high net worth individuals. And, there are people with a lot of money and there are people that have a great work ethic. But when we all can get into a room together and find ways to collaborate, oh my God, nothing's impossible. And it's really exciting to see that trend.
And what I love about what you do is you're not selling courses. You actually put all your content out virtually for free for a minimal few bucks a month.
But here's the irony about this is that I at some point I gave all of my content, 7,000 hours of everything I've ever done for $97, right?
Right.
And by the way, my sales were so much lower. I could one program and everything I own for 97. It is easier to sell one thing for 5,000 than 7,000 hours for 97. It's absolutely mind-boggling because the concept is this. is that when you sell one thing, you can go vertical. When you sell everything, you're not selling, you're telling. And it's actually easy just to sell one thing. And so sometimes it confuses people. I don't know, what's it all about? Why is it so cheap? Okay, so I put it cheaper for you just so that you don't have to pay 5,000. Instead of pay 5,000 for one, you get everything. And actually sales were actually lower. Sales dropped like 95%. You'd expect I thought everyone is an opportunity because buyers will be buyers and people are never going to buy. They'll always find an excuse not to buy. So it's actually frustrating.
And what I really enjoy is how deep you go. I mean, there's a lot of folks I like out there, like Tony Robbins and others, but they're at a very high, kind of almost superficial level, although very interesting and fun. You go deep, deep, deep into tactics and strategies and business. And uh, is that what you encourage folks to do? Is not get superficial, but to really drill
Well, no,
down
I
into
mean,
their
my
business?
point is motivation is like helium. It eventually kind of goes away and you got to keep thinking. I believe in being a vertical thinker, right? And going deep, 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 deep until you have the breakout and then the breakthrough. Breakout is the aha moment. The breakthrough is the actions that you make to go out there. That's why people listen to my podcast because I go very like not analytical, but just kind of look at issues from both sides. You never fall in love with an idea. You never fall in love with the content. But so, for example, people be like, "Well, I need a brand. I need a logo. I need partners." Instead of saying, "Okay, let's talk about a brand. You got a personal brand. You got a company brand. What's the message of the personal brand? What's the company brand? How does it relate? Is it sustainable? Is it predictable? Is it consistent? When you go in there, what are the different levels? What's the education based factor? What's the hook? What's the upsell? What's the downsell? What's the cross sell? Right? How does it appeal to men, women, age, demographic, 50 and above, 40 to 50, 40 to 49, less than 30? Like, and this is what's called micro, but we become a macro where people just take a look at it, be like, I want to make money on Twitter. Okay. But it's so much more than that. And that's why I'm very advanced, but I also attract a different type of person, right? I don't attract the people that just want to get rich quick or that are, like motivated or impressed by chains and cars and watches and stuff like that. So, but that's my style. Now, could I have more people? Yeah. I mean, if I opened up my conference with that type of message, I think I could have 10,000 people, but I'd rather have 1,000 to 2,500 of some of the highest quality people than, a bunch of entrepreneurs who, by the way, the minute they face adversity, they're going to call it a scam, a fraud, or, that's the people, when people don't do something, they think everybody's a scam or fraud. But if it's meant to be, it's up to me. You're 100% responsible for every good thing and bad thing. That's why I take responsibility for what happened to me. I don't blame Clubhouse for what they did because, they were just looking for a reason, and so, yeah, but the difference between me, how many people do you know can get canceled, right? And banned and shadow banned and still give them credit and still give them props for what they created. Right. And I'll
Yeah.
never get credit for it as well. Right. But they'll keep people on the side. And by the way, it's been dead since I've been gone because I'm able to see, I'm able to see. And by the people say, why don't you have a burner account? You come on in. I don't want to do that because I want to violate the terms of service. So I'm just not I'm not gonna play that, and I'm gonna play by the rule. And I hope they watch this and they see this and they could come to a resolution, but not just for me. But the problem now will be like, oh no, JT's talking about it and we have to stand our ground and we have to, we don't want to look like we're weak. It's not weak. You know what it shows? Compromise. Two people got together and sorted out. And you know what? Let's all move on and get everybody back to where it should be. And let me be who I am. And you guys do what you do. And if I do really good, then you have a higher valuation because I don't get paid. You should be paying me, right, to be on because people pay
Yeah.
me. And I'm going there for free. Like I spent a lot of time cultivating an audience to bring them onto the platform. And I got a lot of people. Like clearly it's been evidence. And hopefully people, tweet their outrage of just canceling in nature. Joe Rogan's another one. And he's very lucky that he got his $100 million in Spotify because Spotify in Sweden, it's a very, and I'm sure they're battling, but they don't want to get canceled by people who like Joe Rogan, right? Because he's brought a lot of people. So, but I'm sure they're probably like looking at this and saying, man, this is putting us in a hard rock and a hard place. And the country's more divided. The country's more woke than ever before. If we have a difference of opinion with people, right, we cancel people. We don't say, okay, all right, I don't really agree with the opinion, right? But I still like you as a human being. Fine. You don't want to get vaccinated? That's okay. I still love you, right? But I think it's the spewing of misinformation on both sides. Same thing with Donald Trump. There are people who won't do business because you like Donald Trump. So there are a lot of people like Donald Trump who won't mention it. And you know what? If that person likes Donald Trump, right? Or that person is gay and loves or someone's interracial marriage, or whoever. Who are we to decide what people should love and not love? And we should say, you know what, I disagree, but I still love you. It's not, I'm not going to cancel you, because all you're doing is you're spewing more hate. And that's why I don't agree with a lot of people what they say, but I will never cancel them. Only if they cross that line. And I think the line I don't know if people know what the line is, but there's certain things that are said sometimes that are just so crossing the line. But, everyone agrees with the freedom of speech until they disagree with it.
Well said. Well, look, in the meantime, I'm just consuming your content by the gallon. I'm off to my best January ever in the midst of a huge, pandemic, thanks to your tactics and tools and all the techniques you've taught. And I'll continue upwards and onwards. So thanks so much, JT, for being here, sharing
Thank
your
you.
wisdom as always. And the battle, will continue as far as Clubhouse goes. So good luck. Have a great day.
Good luck. Nice
Keep doing
knowing
what
you.
you're doing.
Hopefully you don't get banned from this platform and the next one. And if not, we'll see you on another platform. Thank you, Evan. That was
There's
so
always another
inspiring.
platform.
Thank you for having me on.
I love it. Take care. Bye bye, JT.